It is no longer a trade war, it is economic trench warfare between two superpowers drunk on pride, paranoia, and the illusion of invincibility. The U.S., under Donald Trump's scorched earth tariff doctrine, has transformed its once celebrated capitalist playbook into a nationalist manifesto, laced with economic isolationism and dripping with the stench of imperial nostalgia. Meanwhile, China, helmed by the cold, calculating Xi Jinping, has dropped all pretense of humility, ready to weaponize its global supply chain dominance in a tit-for-tat escalation that is less about trade and more about humiliation, vengeance, and rewriting the world order. The global economy has become the collateral damage of two men determined to win a zero-sum game that no one asked for but everyone must now play. Xi Jinping, who once echoed reformist overtures and cooperative economic integration, now delivers speeches that sound like manifestos of resistance against not just American tariffs, but against the entire Western-centric world system. And yet, the hypocrisy is staggering. While Beijing cries foul about U.S. aggression, it doubles down on censorship, espionage, and authoritarian trade practices that have long destabilized fair competition. On the other hand, the U.S. plays the victim while smothering developing nations with sanctions, tariffs, and endless surveillance masked as freedom. Both sides have abandoned truth, weaponized narratives, and are selling their own people an illusion of strength while plunging them into economic uncertainty. American farmers rot in warehouses full of unsold soybeans, while Chinese factory workers silently queue for government subsidies after U.S.-bound contracts dry up. But neither Trump nor Xi blink. Instead, they posture harder, speak louder, and dig deeper trenches. The irony. Both claim to fight for their people while using them as cannon fodder in a global game of economic chess. The tariffs are not policies, they are warheads. The speeches are not reassurance, they are propaganda missiles. The global public, caught in the crossfire, sees the game clearly: two emperors with no clothes, daring the world to call their bluff. So what happens when titans stumble and refuse to fall? When pride becomes more valuable than prosperity? When political theater overshadows human cost? The world watches, breathless and betrayed. Stay with us till the end. Hello and welcome back to Innovative Check YouTube channel, where we delve into the innovative and transformative projects changing our world. If you're new to the channel and enjoy learning about innovation stories around the world, you've come to the right place. Please subscribe, like, and comment to help boost our videos on YouTube. It was the sort of silence that felt louder than a war drum. For months, speculation ran wild in both Washington and Beijing, as the world's two largest economies danced perilously close to a full-blown economic conflict. The silence from Shanghai was not ignorance, it was calculation. Behind closed doors, Xi Jinping watched as the U.S. administration under Donald Trump escalated tariff after tariff, branding China as the ultimate violator of trade fairness and global balance. But when Xi finally spoke, it wasn't a murmur, it was thunder. There are no winners in a trade war, he said. But the message carried much more than restraint. It was a declaration that China would no longer play the patient rival. The announcement of 125% reciprocal tariffs on all U.S. imports arrived not as a surprise, but as a signal. China would strike back, decisively and with full awareness of the global consequences. The U.S., under Trump, had already raised the stakes far beyond historical precedent. Initially, the tariffs on Chinese goods hovered around 25%. But as tensions mounted and nationalist rhetoric surged from Trump's administration, those numbers ballooned, first to 104%, then to 125%, a figure that hadn't been seen since the height of 1930s protectionism. Despite this, Trump took to Truth Social to declare the move not only necessary but patriotic. The days of ripping off the USA are over, he wrote. But the reaction from Beijing was swift and layered with symbolism. Xi's words were echoed in every Chinese media outlet, state-sanctioned and unofficial alike. And just as Trump's tariffs took effect, the China Film Administration, a body that had long been a soft power gateway for Hollywood into the Chinese market, pulled back sharply. American cinema would be curtailed. The Chinese public, it was claimed, no longer held favorable sentiment toward U.S. content. The financial reverberations were immediate. Wall Street trembled. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dipped over 600 points within a day of Xi's retaliation being announced. Technology firms, particularly those tied to semiconductor exports, were among the hardest hit. Intel, Qualcomm, and even T.S.M.C, though based in Taiwan, felt the sting of investor uncertainty. A.S.M.L, the Dutch lithography titan, whose machines power most of the advanced chipmaking in the world, also saw a drop in share price. For months, the global economy had cautiously watched this standoff, praying for sanity. What they got was escalation, precise, deliberate, and unapologetic. Inside the halls of power, the messaging was no longer about diplomacy. Larry Kudlow, the director of the National Economic Council at the time, doubled down during a press conference, stating that China's decades of intellectual property theft had come to an end. This is about freedom, he insisted. This is about restoring balance. But to the rest of the world, it looked increasingly like brinkmanship, a high-stakes poker game where neither player could afford to fold, yet both were dangerously close to losing it all. The EU watched uneasily, particularly nations like Germany and France, whose economies depended heavily on stable trade with both the US and China. French President Emmanuel Macron urged restraint. "This is not the way to structure a global economy," he said during a televised address from the Élysée Palace. German Chancellor Angela Merkel was even more blunt. "Trade wars," she warned, "are not waged with bullets, but they leave casualties just the same." Just a quick reminder to hit the like button below. YouTube has been restricting my videos a lot recently because of bots, so your like does help out this video massively in terms of the algorithm in YouTube. Back in Beijing, Xi Jinping wasn't just responding, he was reshaping. The Chinese leader, never known for emotional outbursts, appeared in firm control. His messaging was steeped in historical narrative. For over 70 years, he reminded the world, our development has never depended on handouts. The implication was clear. China viewed the U.S. tariffs not merely as economic policy, but as imperial insult. But Xi's strategy wasn't limited to tariffs. Behind the scenes, the Communist Party was moving swiftly to deepen economic ties with countries the U.S. had distanced itself from. Deals were signed with Russia, Iran, Brazil, and even certain EU members, quietly exploring back-channel relationships. New pipelines were proposed. Massive Belt and Road investments were accelerated in Africa and Southeast Asia. China was turning its economic ire into global influence, offering itself as the rational alternative to an increasingly erratic U.S. economic doctrine. Still, the effects at home were not easily ignored. Chinese exporters, particularly in manufacturing hubs like Shenzhen and Guangzhou, began feeling the pressure. Orders from the U.S. slowed. Factories saw furloughs, and small businesses reported cash flow crunches. But Beijing responded not with hand-wringing, but with subsidies. The Ministry of Commerce unleashed a $500 billion zero-cents economic resilience package aimed at reinforcing domestic consumption and incentivizing global trade diversification. "This is not capitulation," said Chinese Vice Premier Liu He. "This is strategy." Meanwhile, in the U.S., agricultural states screamed louder. Soybean farmers in Iowa, corn producers in Nebraska, and pork exporters in North Carolina all found themselves cut off from their largest overseas customer. The Trump administration attempted to placate them with emergency relief, a $28 billion zero-cents bailout package for farmers. But resentment grew. Farmers who had supported Trump began to question the wisdom of economic self-isolation. "We're not patriots, we're pawns," one Iowa farmer told CNBC in a now viral interview. Yet Trump remained defiant. Standing on the White House lawn, flanked by Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer, he waved off criticism. "This is the fight we've avoided for decades. I'm the one who's finally got the guts to do it," he said. But economists weren't convinced. Nobel laureate Paul Krugman warned that the administration was sleepwalking into a global recession, while Janet Yellen, former chair of the Federal Reserve, testified before Congress that the tariffs were an unproductive economic shockwave with long-term consequences. If you are enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to subscribe, share the video, and comment. By the end of that quarter, the U.S. economy had slowed to a crawl. GDP growth dropped to 1.1%, the lowest in over 4 years. Consumer spending dipped, and corporate investment dried up. What's more, the Federal Reserve found itself stuck between a weakening economy and an inflationary spiral. Jerome Powell, then chairman of the Fed, hinted at potential rate cuts, but even that did little to calm the markets. "We can't lower interest rates out of a trade war," Powell confessed during a press Q&A. In Beijing, the tone shifted again. Xi Jinping made an unannounced appearance at the China Import and Export Fair in Canton, smiling faintly as he walked past booths of Chinese-made electronics, textiles, and machinery. The message was symbolic. China was open for business, but not with those who tried to strangle its economy. In a closed-door meeting later revealed by leaks in the South China Morning Post, Xi reportedly told party officials, "Let America decouple. We will rewire the world." That rewiring was already underway. Huawei, long a symbol of Chinese technological ambition and a target of U.S. sanctions, announced that it had completed development on its own semiconductor architecture, bypassing both American chips and A.S.M.L's lithography tools. Meanwhile, Chinese universities increased funding for AI programs, biotech, and green energy innovation. If the U.S. thought economic pressure would stall China's progress, Beijing was showing otherwise. Still, dissent festered in both countries. Protests erupted in several U.S. cities, particularly in coastal states dependent on trade. Port workers in Long Beach, California went on strike over lost hours due to reduced shipping activity. In Boston, students marched in solidarity with their Chinese peers, decrying what they called xenophobic economic policies. Even some Republican senators voiced concern. Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska said, "We've weaponized trade to the point of harming ourselves." Thank you for your attention, and I welcome your thoughts and questions on this complex and vital subject. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to get exclusive videos about how phenomenally China is developing and growing its influence. Your subscriptions and likes motivate us to generate more content, so please keep supporting us. Check out this video showing on your screen right now, and I will see you on the other side.